My name is Paul Demas. I'm the owner of Aquariums in the Mist. We're based out of New York, Floral Park, New York to be a little more specific. We specialize in custom vivariums, terrariums, polydariums, basically anything to do with planted scapes. I've always been interested in frogs, especially wildlife, turtles, reptiles, fish. And going back to when I was 5 or even younger, we always went up to the Catskill Mountains and I'd catch everything possible and bring it home and do my best to replicate the habitat of that animal in the wild. You know, always thought that was the best way to keep animals, trying to replicate nature. So this is my 210-gallon vivarium. Now this wasn't always a vivarium. In fact, it used to be a 150-gallon aquarium. One day I was going to do the whole thing over. I was putting a 210, replacing the 150, and I was going to go with a reef tank. But my wife said to me, why don't you do something different? Why don't you do a huge terrarium? And I thought about it, and I liked the idea. I wanted to do something different. Everybody has an aquarium. And so this has a custom foam background, although you can't really see any of it. It's so well grown in. The primary plant is Selaginella, is kind of taken over. But there's actually a stream that runs from one end of the tank to the next. There's drip walls, water features everywhere. There's bromeliads, orchids, pileas, ficus, other plants all over the place. Tank is drilled, it goes down to a sump, and the water's filtered, and then it comes back up. Lighting, I'm using a combination of AI primes and Tinkman Herps LEDs. Tank does have its own room in the back, so I have access from the front and the back. But this tank's been going for about 7 years now, so it's well established. No animals in it. I actually use this tank primarily for cuttings and plants for builds that I'm doing, so it's frog free, no chance of disease or pest being passed on. So this is a custom Aquariums polydarium, or they call it the amphibious tank. It's one of my favorites. Kind of gives you the best of both worlds, the land and the aquatic section. This one is 3 feet long, 2 feet deep, and 3 feet tall. Holds about 50 gallons or so. Now this one is kind of new. It's only been growing in for a few weeks, and I'm using a lot of cuttings, so it's not as established as some of the other tanks you've seen, but it's one of my favorites because everybody thinks aquariums, you gotta have an aquarium, especially if you're talking about in a business, an office, a patient waiting room. But why not do the best of both worlds? So it's one of the things we specialize in it, and a custom aquariums makes really a great example of that, and they make custom cabinetry and canopies, so it really looks like a piece of living art. If you've ever seen the custom aquariums, amphibious, and tanks, you've probably noticed that most of them will have the sliding doors right in front. But I really wanted an unobstructed view. And between me and my sales rep, we thought of, why don't we put the doors on the side? And as you can see, completely unobstructed view, but I still have full access to the tank itself. I can still do all my work. This particular tank has a feather rock background, so that's real rock that you're seeing, but it's a lightweight, natural pumice. I have them cut specially so that the backs are flat. I just silicone them in place. And most of the plants you see back there are epiphytes, so they just get mounted either in the sphagnum moss in between or on the rocks themselves. So it's really a cool looking effect. So the tank itself is drilled, comes that way directly from customaquariums.com. It has their seamless sump filtration system. It really works great, very easy to maintain, to do water changes on it. You don't ever have to worry if your power cuts off, the filter is going to automatically come back on. The water pump itself is always fully submerged, so it's a very easy to use, user-friendly system. So one of the things here at Aquariums in the Mist that we specialize in is dart frog exhibits and displays. So my favorite personal animal are dart frogs in general. Now we don't sell dart frogs, but rather we build the displays for them, and we work with a lot of local breeders, ferns frogs, Tinkman Herps, a lot of them that specialize in those frogs, so we can help you get captive bred animals right here in New York or the tri-state area. Very easy to care for once you learn the basic requirements of them and you provide the right habitat. That's critical for their long-term success. So this is a vision rack. I think it's primarily intended for snakes and other similar animals, but I'm using it to house isopods. These isopods are actually invertebrates, and they are used basically as a cleanup crew in a vivarium or terrarium. They will break down waste, dead, decaying matter, and they'll make that usable for plants as almost a fertilizer. So it's very important to the health of a vivarium. Now they also are not only kept for that though, that what's really becoming popular right now is keeping isopods as just pets. So people are keeping all kinds of different species from around the world, different colors, patterns. They're keeping them as pets. So they've become very popular, not just for bioactive purposes. So these are called dairy cow, and you'll see exactly why they're called dairy cow. In a black and white pattern, just as a dairy cow, so to speak.
Okay.
So basically we have two different types of customers. We have the hobbyist. Now many of them just need help getting started. They want me to build a vivarium, and we'll work with them based on the animals that they're keeping, but they're going to do the maintenance. They're going to do the day-to-day care. They're taking care of the animal. And then we have our business clients, offices, doctors' offices, customers like that, who I'm typically going to do maintenance for. Now it's not as much maintenance as your typical aquarium. It might be bi-monthly, but we come in, we do trimmings, we guarantee the plants, we'll replace plants if for any reason anything happened to them. I'm adding new leaf litter, I'm adding cleanup crew on a regular basis, and we're keeping that tank looking pristine. So here at Vivariums in the Mist, we sell two ways primarily. We sell from our showroom, and I can set up an appointment anytime that you like to come stop by. It's in Floral Park, New York. We could discuss a build or what you're looking for. But also we do all the local reptile expos here in the New York tri-state area. We sell supplies, plants, all of our vertebrates, our isopods and springtails, and other equipment so that you can build your own vivarium. And we work with a lot of different brands. Of course, at customaquariums.com, like the Polidarium behind you, we can have that built in any size basically you can dream on. We're a Miss King authorized retailer for their Miss King systems as well as their LED lighting. One of our other favorite products is Tannin Aquatics. We love to add those botanicals to aquariums. And this year I was proud to introduce our own private label, Vivariums in the Mist, line of products intended for isopods, springtails, millipedes, and roaches. We have Iso Grub, which is freeze-dried minnows, and our latest one is Iso Peepers, which are actually carp eyeballs. Now, it sounds kind of crazy. Look it up though. There are many positive reasons to use this, and we're also coming out with 4 other products coming soon, so stay tuned for that. So these products are available exclusively on glassboxtropicals.com as well as at New York Reptile Expos and more expos around the country coming soon. So this is my 200-gallon custom Sherman tanks build. It's an interesting tank in that only the glass in the front and the top is actually glass. So the sides, the back, the bottom is a custom material, lightweight. This tank, even though it's this huge, probably weighs only about as much as a 30-gallon glass tank. There's tons of plants, very heavily planted. It has an automated Mist King system. Another cool feature is that it has a cool mist room humidifier hooked up to it, and I have that hooked up to a remote control, and I can just turn it on at any time and you'll see fog. It'll come down this water feature and fill the whole tank if I let it. Again, there's no animals in this tank. I'm still kind of deciding what I want to put in it, and it has to be something special. This is one of my favorite tanks. This one's been growing for about 18 months. Again, this one has a custom foam background using a lot of different woods, cork, covered in tree fern fiber. But as with any tank, once it grows in nicely, you barely can see any of that hardscaping.